Okay, welcome to Nested Loops. So I'm going to pick up the second half of the prologue for badass making users. And streaming a little higher resolution than last time. I didn't realize how low res ever since I had to take it over. So I'll share my screen. Oh, that's okay. Much better. Alrighty, so we had just finished up. We were talking about like our Amazon recommendation, which was focusing more on how awesome it makes a user feel. And so we were talking about users, and it's the badass users that we want. So now we come back to the product. So here's the superset exercise. We want to imagine that in either case, it's imagine this is us and it's our a competitor, or perhaps we're actually bigger than the competitor. So what is the superset that we're part of? So you can sort of see here, it's like, let's say we were making any one of these products, the Rode microphone, Adobe Premiere, Manfrotto tripod, etc. All these are part of a bigger context of making fabulous videos. Right, so what is the bigger context of our product? Right, so people don't say this, I want to be the best tripod expert. Well, it's possible people do, but in general they don't. Right, what we do is we use the tripods to make amazing videos. So the bigger context in the case of say a tripod product is that we're making better video or photography. Right, and so then the products or the services in question support a bigger, compelling, motivated context. So this is the previous picture but genericized. So compelling thing to be badass, and these various tools, and you can see Kathy called out just a tool. So we are just tools to be better at this greater context. Right, and then some other examples of the same picture with more specifics. You know, I want to host world-class dinner parties, so I need to have good recipes, party games, cooking appliances, and I got to say they picked the wrong color, so I can't really see what kind of cocktails and mixology app here. Making great presentations. You need book on public speaking, visualization software, spreadsheet apps, photo sites. So you can see in both cases these are tools for a bigger context. And you can see that context all the way out, that each one of these sub-contexts could be part of a bigger context. So at the lowest level, for photo editing, we have Photoshop, iPhoto, Lightroom, and that's part of a bigger picture of photography. And in photography, I might have cameras and film and lighting. And then perhaps I'm just using photography to be part of art. Maybe I'm doing an art exhibit, or I don't know, some other artistic thing of which photography is just part of, sculpting, painting. So you can see there's more possibilities to become badass, than just the surrounding context. All right, so people want to be what? They don't want to be badass at our tool, though depending on the tool, maybe they do. They want to be badass at what the tool helps them do. And I apologize for my typos. So the question here is, what is wrong with here? So I'm in a magazine, I'm looking at this ad, I'm going engineer to let you stay with the action, and some camera blurb here, and this picture of this rock climber doing something arguably, this is a great picture. Wow, I'm going to take these great pictures with this camera. So this is the context. Compelling context. Photography. I'm good at photography. I take pictures like this. And then I get the money. What do I get? I get this 96 page manual with all these directions and stuff, and sometimes they're translated bad, So on the left we have the context, and on the right the tool. So Marketing often focuses on what the user wants to do. The problem is after we buy it, then the experience goes from, hey, look, you could be this great photographer, to just the tools. And so what should happen to help create badass users is after the buy, we should focus even more on what they want to do. So it's like we've changed focus. They want to have badass results in the bigger context and not just be badass at our one particular thing. So appreciation. So one will buy a camera and take photos, and then as I start taking photos, I start appreciating, hey, if only I had a camera with better zoom or better lighting, or I want to take long exposure or something. So I start to appreciate these features that are beyond my entry-level camera. And again, it's the context. As I dig more in the context of photography, I get more I'm more inspired. And then it's not just the tool that builds the desirability, but the context itself. So Kathy had a picture for this, where the guy's saying, I'm a photographer versus I do cameras. It's the bigger context. The guy on the left is the more badass user. There are probably guys that just do cameras. But it's the context versus the tool itself. So, being better is better. So, when you're better, you get better results. And she was talking about how it's an intrinsically rewarding experience at being better. And I think any of us who have spent any time getting good at stuff, the better you get at stuff and the effort, and you see the results, it's much more fun than just doing it. Some people just don't get into certain things that extent, and a lot of times you look at as a XYZ lover, you look at people that don't love it, and you say, oh, they don't quite get it. And people say that about a lot of things. So, more skilled you are at something is like an upgrade. Before you were badass, you're just looking at standard, but after badass, you're seeing stuff in high resolution. And I think people who upgraded TVs from standard to HD and HD to 4K, though less 4K things, it's definitely something you see in it. And I think you see it more when you get away from it. If you go back to SD after watching a lot of HD video, you go, oh, this is such low res. But ultimately, we want deeper and richer experiences. But importantly, as we come down to the next slide, the better you get, the more you perceive. And when you're able to pick up more, it's more rewarding. I can't remember if my next slide talks a little about this. I'm going to jump ahead. Oh yes, it's super powerful. Okay, so high res experience makes everything more pleasure. So and here's an example. So a wine sommelier, how do we say that exactly? Sommelier, I believe, something like that one. Excuse my lack of French thing. They smell and taste more than us, and for those who don't know, this is kind of a wine expert. There's one at Keith's Country Club, and he comes and they have to study. They have to study for like years to get this level, and their job is to recommend you the best wines. Astronomer seems much more in the sky. Some people just look in the sky and see lights. Chess players sees more than pieces and strategies and mistakes and stuff like that one. And I think as programmers we can watch movies and see when they're making programmers and laugh when it's ridiculous and appreciate when it's better, etc. And all of us, for things we're good at, we see more, we appreciate more. So better you get, the more distinctions you perceive. Enhanced perception means the ability to appreciate higher and or more advanced things towards that context. And for example, again, on a thing like an audio file, here's a lot more, and then look for more. And having played around with it, I can appreciate that. I appreciated it for a while, and then I got lazy and I stopped appreciating it. Well, it's not that I don't appreciate it, I just don't care as much. So here's a little chart she's got. On the bottom, user knowledge skill, gets bigger as we go to the right, and the appreciation deeper on the y-axis goes up. So for higher end, so you can see down here, none to low. Why do I ever need more? you know, at this middle level, oh, maybe it'd be cool if I upgraded as you get better. I need the pro version, you know, and then here, I will find the money. This is so much more powerful. And I'm helping design and test their advanced plugins. So you can sort of see this line goes up. The more knowledge you get and the better you are, the more appreciation you have for these things. So the lesson is, don't upgrade your product, but upgrade your users. Okay, so badass users won't shut up for her thing. They talk, and it is authentic. And if you remember earlier in the prologue, we're looking for non-incentivized, authentic stuff. We trust people who talk honestly, unincentivized about their things, as opposed to paid shills and whatnot. So here's this guy. Did you see my latest video? I love the new color grading app I use, and these guys going, wow, I have to get that. You know. So word of mouth. Authentic word of mouth is very valuable. But what's better than word of mouth? So these guys. Did you see Roy's latest video? The color is amazing. So it's the same scenario as before, but the two people without him. He said he used a new film look app. I want it. So sometimes people have such good results they don't need to talk about it. You know, it's obvious. They've seen his work and he didn't even have to talk about it. It's his badassness that they perceive. And so the word of obvious is greater than word of mouth. So she's got WOFO and WOM as those things. So for the company, more badass means more business. So for the cartoon, how did you get that creamy out of focus background? My camera can't do this. Oh, and then she says, go to the Canon website and learn about aperture and depth of field. And so then this guy's going, looks like I'll need a new camera and lens to do this. So him seeing her badass results and her explaining, hey, this is how I do this with this advanced thing that you don't have, makes him want to upgrade. So Kathy brings up the term faux badass. And, you know, a lot of websites have gamification awards and stuff. And earlier in the prologue, we were talking about, oh, do this, do that, you know, more social media, you know, all this kind of stuff. Company wants them to engage with us, but we're not serving the needs of the user who just wants to be more badass. We just want them to come and look at our stuff. So the whole point, again, is not to make them feel like being a badass, but we actually want to make them badass. And the question you ask yourself is, do they have the higher resolution for the bigger context? If we are giving advanced products, do they understand why this is useful for them? Are they more skilled at the better context? So here's all the questions that you ask about, like, what should you actually do? They know more? Can they use their knowledge? Are they getting better results? And I can sort of appreciate this. I use like all the image stuff that I end up doing is I bought this thing called Acorn for the Mac a gazillion years ago, literally like 9-10 years ago. And I still use it. And actually, my Mac keeps telling me, hey, you won't be able to use this soon when we upgrade OSs someday. and I don't remember if their tagline was something like Photoshop for the rest of us. But it does pretty much everything I need to do, and it's way easier than Photoshop. So I'm not at the level that I'm past that. And I'm good. So to some extent, I think the opposite is there. It's like, hey, this meets my needs. I don't have to pay a gazillion dollars for Photoshop, but I don't need the gazillion things that Photoshop does for me. But my purposes are presentations like this, so I'm not a full-out photography badass. So here we say customer service excellence doesn't necessarily mean user excellence. So companies like to talk about, oh, we have world-class customer service. What they mean is world-class service, and you can see they grade out the customer. Just because my people are pleasant, they talk to you, doesn't mean they get you what you want as someone who's trying to be badass. What customers want, they want to be a world-class customer. So again, she likes to do those type of things where we say these words, this is what they mean, this is what we want. You know, if it doesn't help us grow skills, resolution, results, it's still faux badass. We don't want to feel better, we want to be better. So, the better user point of view. So, here's the example. So, don't just make a better X, make a better user of X. So, some examples of this is, don't make a better, camera, make a better photographer. Don't make a better power drill, make a better home do-it-self builder. Don't make a better our service, make a better user of our service. All right, so here's our user interaction stuff. Don't make a better X, make a better this. So we could use context of our company, you know, don't make a better financial product, make a better investor. Which I think, you know, we with education we try to do. You know, since I guess, you know, I'm into music, don't make a better sound presser, make a better music producer, or I think unfortunately guitarists don't make a better guitar, make a better guitarist. So here's my examples. Let's go around. Alexis, do something. Your turn for the exercise.
Yeah, I was also thinking along our company lines, like don't make a better like mass market product, make a better subscriber. Yeah, and I guess what you said, it's investor.
All right, how about something you like to do?
What else? Don't make a better. Don't make a better. What's a tool I use? Procreate. Don't make a better illustration tool. Make a better illustrator.
Mm-hmm. And the bigger context is what you're illustrating for.
Artists, like
Yeah.
just to make art.
Art design. All right, Brett. I'm just going left to right.
Don't make a better planter. I don't know.
Make a better gardener.
Make a better botanist. Home decorator. Well, what is the bigger picture of having plants?
Yeah, I guess home decorator.
I mean, there's a smaller picture of a plant. I don't know what the word for plant lover is, but I guess the bigger, the context above being a better plant person is, I guess, decorator. All right, let's go with blue figure number 1, Don.
All right. Don't make a better running shoe, make a better runner. This is important because there's a lot of hype around running shoes and if they should be illegal.
Actually, so that's the context. So there's the context you appreciate. Do you feel that any of the advertising works? Like, are Nike making you see the bigger picture of running, and then you get the shoe, which of course don't come with any instructions. So there's no, Nike doesn't do anything to actually make you a better runner.
Yeah, I mean, it's like there's a huge hype right now over these Nike shoes that the world records are being broken in. So everyone's like, if I get this shoe, I'll be that good.
Which reminds me, you remember the Spike Lee commercial? It's the shoes. It's the shoes, man.
No.
No, God. I don't know how old I am that I am. The Spike Lee, it's the shoes. The Spike Lee, it's the shoes. Commercial. Is it this one?
I was 2 when it came out.
There you go. This is why you don't know this thing, because you're not a freaking geezer.
Yo, Morris Blackman here with my main man, Michael Jordan. Yo, Mike, what makes you the best player in the universe? Is it the vicious stunts?
No, Mars.
Is it the haircut?
No, Mars.
Is it the shoes?
No, Mars.
Is it the extra long shorts?
No, Mars.
It's the shoes, it, right?
Nah.
Is it the short socks?
No, Mars.
Money's gotta be the shoes. Shoes. You sure it's not the shoes?
I'm sure, Mars.
What about the shoes?
No, Mars.
Money's gotta be the shoes.
There you go.
Pretty good.
The shoes. So there was a series of Spike Lee. It's the shoes. It's the shoes. So this is Don's thing, but for basketball shoes. All right. I don't know if Rob can join, if he can speak like last week, but he's there. We got a exercise. Do I have to look to my text? So, all right. We'll jump over to Sam while Rob figures out how to communicate. Sam. December. I don't know. Okay. Well, I'll leave it at that since I do not know if you're having technical difficulties. That was our simpler than last time exercise. You use it in the bigger context. So, where are we now? Back to the big picture, the original challenge of the prologue. How do we have a successful product? Sustained desirability drives success. So if we can make things stay desirable, we drive success, right? We like honest, non-bribed. I don't know if that was her word or that was me paraphrasing. It definitely looks like something I would paraphrase. Non-bribed, word of mouth drives desirability. So when the users are badass, they either talk or they just show, and people are appreciative. Like guys who apparently win these races that Don is talking about. We want the user to be badass, not at our tool, but what the badass enables. We want to be badass at the bigger context. Being badass means higher resolution, which means they can appreciate more. It means they have results that can be seen, and we of course don't want to do. It's easy to get stuck on the faux badassness, but we want them to be awesome. So don't make a better X, make a better user of X per our previous exercise. All right. So then, with all this, what is the real question? How do we make badass users? How do we make them want to be badass? How do we get them to be users before they're badass? Right, and so I think that kind of wraps. Yes, okay. So this was starting to move forward. Point of view of the next section, and I wrapped up. So that kind of wraps us up here. So we've looked at this. Her thesis is we want to make badass users who are guys that are better, who because they appreciate the context, the bigger context, will appreciate our product and what it does for them. And and question one is we need to figure out how to make these. We want to figure out, hey, here's the user, how do we make them more badass? And a lot of times I think that is like a self-perpetuating cycle. If you are able to get, if your product is able to get them, or your support services to get them going with pretty good results, a lot of times you get a glimpse of, oh, I could do this better thing, kind of that like, oh, how did you get this color? I want that color too. And then the question is, they don't start out badass. So question number 3 is, how do we get them to be users before they're badass? Which ultimately is, I guess, a marketing sort of thing. Or I don't know. Sometimes you can have them try and you can get good results quickly. That kind of works. So that's what I got. All right. Any thoughts? I open to the peanut gallery on questions or general topic. Anything? Okay. Well, if there's no beyond, this kind of wraps my part. Definitely takes a little. I don't know if Alexis has started with the next part. I was trying to look ahead to see how much.
Yeah, I looked at the next chapter. It's pretty short, I think. So yeah, it's doable.
I was thinking. I'm not sharing the screen, but I'm looking. So point of view. Think badass 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
There's 9 pages in the next one, and there's like an exercise.
I don't remember how hard was the exercise. Thought experiment. So the thought experiment is that one. It could be that one. And I thought the next one, user journey, I thought it was short. Let me check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, well, let's stick with that one. I don't know. I think, and then they have an exercise user journey. Boom, some more. Okay, I definitely think user journey probably should be its own. All right, so we'll go with Think Badass in 2
Sounds good.
weeks. Yeah, user journey might need to be split. Looking at that one, and then next one is Science Badass. Okay. All right, so then Alexis will do Think Badass next week. You know, the big challenge is to just not screenshot things. Which, you know, there's so many pictures. I tried, in some cases, I try to just pull the words instead of the screenshot, and sometimes I just, like, the whole world-class customer service, I was starting to write his words, like, oh no, I'll just show you the darn pictures better. Okay, well, if there's no other questions, I guess we'll wrap, and we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Thank you. Thanks for coming to this, and I really need to spell check before I put these slides up and show the world that I'm in a hurry to type. Okay, have a good day.
See you.
Thank you.